Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Really cool deal today. Heading over to my sponsors, Spillway Bait and Tackle in Fort Laramie Lake. It's actually, I guess the actual address is Minster, Ohio, but it's right on Fort Laramie Lake. And my dearest friend, my best friend in the world, Big Mike, and his wife Debbie, Mike's been making jigs for me for 18 years, and they're the hand-tied crappie jigs, and they are some of they're the best. And I'm not saying this just because I'm sponsored. It is the best quality hand-tied jig, hands down, just because of the durability. And a lot of your hand-tied jigs, your feather jigs, they end up falling apart, coming apart. When you get a jig from Spillway Bait and Tackle, you can catch as many fish on that jig as you want, and it is going to last you. And I have fished one jig in 3 and 4 tournaments until I damaged a hook point. So we're really in for a treat today. We're heading over to the shop to really showcase. He's a full bait and tackle store, so you can get your minnows, night crawlers, any other kind of live bait. And he has full line of fishing rods, Ozark rods. He has grizzly rods, Janko rods. Janko is one of my favorites just because that's one of my sponsors. He's got B&M products, and he's got ACC crappie sticks. And I know I've seen a lot of people on Facebook and on social media talking about they can't get any. He's got them in stock. And so he's got the ACC super grips, the ACC regular grips, but again, Ozark, Grizzly, B&M, Janko, ACC crappie stick. He's got all of those combinations and reels to go with them, but he's got a wall of jigs. It's your one-stop shopping for crappie fishing, bass fishing, cat fishing, and bluegill fishing. And so really excited to get over there today, and I'm going to take you guys in the shop, and he's going to tie a jig for us, and you're going to get to see that process. You're going to be able to meet. Hey guys, we're here on the front porch of Spillway Bait and Tackle in Fort Laramie Lake. This is one of my favorite places in the entire world to be at. I have spent more hours here with my best friend in the world, Big Mike, and his wife Debbie. This is where a lot of my hand-tied jigs that I use, the wedge tail, you've heard me talk about that on several of my YouTube channel videos and on Facebook. The wedge tail jig was born here, and this is where all of what I call the magic happens. And you know, today we're going to take an inside close look at Spillway Bait and Tackle, and also for a real treat, you guys are going to see somehow some of the jigs are made right here, right now. Come with me. So we just come right into the store, and right away you're met with a complete section of Bobby Garland plastics. Got just a tremendous selection, as you can see, and got jig heads. Over here on the wall, he's got the hooks and weights, and this is just not for crappie fishing. He's got everything for catfish, bass fishing, crappie fishing, bluegill fishing, and Mike makes some of the most impressive bluegill hand-tied jigs that you'll ever see. And one of the coolest things is the wedge tails. He can put those in even those small jigs. So follow me around the store here a little bit, and if we come in, you're a little hungry, they even got a snack section. You can get you a little snack. But Mike has an impressive line of rods. He's got ACC crappie sticks. He's got Sam Keaton B&Ms. He's got Janko, and kind of one of my favorites. I might be a little partial to Janko, being one of my sponsors, but he's got a great selection of Janko products here in the store. And again, the ACC crappie sticks and the B&Ms, and as you can see, he's got just a great selection of rods up in the ceiling even. And then one of my favorite places to go is the jig wall. And over here, it's got just a great selection of hand-tied jigs, different colors, different sizes, and of course he pours plastics, and they have just an array of different plastic tails. One of my favorite tails, of course, that he pours is this little shad bait tail, little shad tail. I really enjoy that bait. It's very versatile, and he's got it even all the way down to even for even bluegill. You can see how small this bait is, even down to bluegill or even ice fishing. So just a great selection of baits. This is really truly your one-stop shop. You can stop here, get everything that you need before a day of fishing. It's got the good quality tackle. We've got a good selection of corks. Even over here on this spindle here, a hot bait when you're fishing around sawguy and walleye is a big Joshies. And as you can see, they got a tremendous selection of Joshie baits, and then there's some bass baits hanging here. And then here's even some jig head skirts and such. And then over here, as we follow along, we come over, we got a nice selection of bass fishing tackle. And let me tell you, all this tackle that you see here on the wall works right out here on these lakes. I'll take any of this tackle right here and go to Grand Lake, Indian Lake, and right here on Lake Loramie in Ohio and catch them on these baits. Well, Big Mike makes his own flipping jigs for bass fishing, makes his own spinner baits. One of the things, if you come into the Spillway Bait and Tackle, make sure you ask Mike, say, hey, let me see one of those pocket rocket spinner baits. And guys, you're in for a treat, because it's a high quality, well built, wonderful little spinner bait that I have caught hundreds of bass on. And so, as you can see, as we move our way over here, we have just another selection. And I just happen to turn the spindle this way to we see the Jenko product again. And so it's just a nice selection of Jenko product and the tails. And as we scan around through here, we got different various plastics, different types of corks. There's really nothing here that if you need it, it's here. And if he's got some little small hand-tied jigs for bluegill fishing. Let me see if we get a close-up of that. That's one of the hand-tied jigs for. So that it's just a real cool little deal. And also he has let me grab one of these. This is for bluegill fishing as well. Call these spiders, and in the paint job, just even on these spiders is just pretty amazing. And so you can really just see the detail into that bait. And Lake Loramie has just some beautiful bluegill on this lake. And if you've never had the opportunity to get to Lake Loramie and do some crappie fishing, bluegill fishing, bass fishing, cat fishing, you're missing out. It's a tremendous fishery. And then you come and you get to see the two nicest people on planet Earth, Mike and Debbie Campbell. Mike is a guy who works in the back room, creating baits, creating jigs. He's just got a mastermind of being able to see colors and color combinations. And Debbie works a lot of the front out here, and she is very, very knowledgeable. She can answer all your questions. Don't let it fool you. She knows what she's talking about, and you're going to get a good count on your minnows when you get minnows by the dozen. So guys, don't hesitate. Make your way over to Spillway Bait and Tackle, Fort Loramie Lake in Ohio. Give these guys a call. Stop in and see them and visit them. You won't regret it. Very, very nice people, and they're here to help you. Guys, I'm here with one of my favorite people in the world, Big Mike from Spillway Bait and Tackle. How you doing, Mike?
Great, man. How are you?
Good
to see you, brother.
I'm blessed every time I get a chance to come over and just sit with you and talk with you. Guys, I'm going to tell you, in the world of sponsorship, and everybody always asks me, Matt, how do you get sponsors? And I tell every one of them, you start with a relationship first. And the relationship that Mike and I have developed over the past 18 years, he's my best friend in the world. And just being able to fish with his hand-tied jigs and his bass baits that he makes is just a bonus and a blessing. And I come over to Spillway Bait and Tackle And not only do I get to sit with my best friend in the world to make and create baits and talk fishing, but I also get to speak to his wife, and Debbie just is a phenomenal human being, very knowledgeable, and when every once in a while I'm here at the right time and I get to eat her cooking, and it is top shelf cooking, guys. I'm telling you, it is. That you talk about blessings, that's a blessing. But Mike, here today, you've been tying jigs for how long? How long you been doing this?
Matt, I was trying to think of that, and I don't even have an answer for you. I remember the first time at St. Mary's, Deb and I sitting on a bucket, I have a bucket of minnows, watching little pencil floats just crawl around and catching crappies, and a guy to my right had a rod with a little bitty cork on it and pulling crappies out left and right. And I said to my wife, I said, he's not putting a minnow on there. What? He's not carrying a minnow bucket around. And I saw my first hand-tied jig, and I said, I got to find out how to make those myself. And that started the illness.
And it is an illness, because back in the early days, I remember being on the phone with you because you lived in Hamilton, Ohio, and I lived in Salina, Mercer County, Ohio, and a couple hours apart. And I remember 2 to 5 hour long conversations on the telephone, and thank goodness it was during a time that you didn't have to pay for those minutes. But we would have those longer conversations, and it was about jig combinations and colors, and what if we did this, and what if we did that. And then one of the coolest parts about that too, when I talk about the relationship, guys, we would talk about our families. And Mike would ask, how are you doing? And I would ask Mike how he was doing. And at the time, he had a job that he drove all the time, and we were talking on the phone, and there's a lot of times I talked him home.
From Columbus.
From Columbus, Ohio.
Down to Cincinnati.
To Cincinnati, I would talk to him the entire ride home, and we would talk about fishing, we would talk about the Lord, we would talk about anything and everything that was going on in our lives. But a big part of that was hook sizes. What if we did this with the head? What if we did this with the colors? And I thought I was really into the colors, schemes, and how to put the things together. And I was blown away. I thought, because I was a tournament angler, surely Mike won't understand everything that I'm talking about or I need. And his vision, his creative, artistic ability, I sat back in awe and said, you know what? You better sit back and listen and watch this guy put a bait together. And I would come to him and say, hey, I just want this black and chartreuse. Well, he'd make it black and chartreuse, but then he'd take it to another level.
But many times we overdid things.
We did.
I mean, we were making garanimals for the kids. we weren't tying jigs. Right. Just because you can don't mean you should. Right. We made some of the prettiest stuff to hang on a hat that you could ever see.
I've got a collection of things over the past 18 years that I don't fish with, but my gosh, are they gorgeous. And there was times I'd take a bait out and we'd put blades on things, and when I come back I go, Mike, it worked for like the first 4 or 5 cranks, and then all the hair got in the blade and I can't get the blade to turn anymore. And then we didn't get mad or upset, it just went back to the drawing board and recreated.
I think one of the funniest things when we said, heck, if we could tie a booger on there, if it would work, we would do it.
That's right. And put a blade on it, that would make it even, put some flash. But
simplicity
yes.
always works, but make your simplicity right. Don't slough on the basic details of construction of your bait. Yes. Make sure your wraps are all there, make sure your knots are all there, make sure your glue's there, make sure it's straight. If it's bent and curved, put it in your own box. Make it right for the customer, make it right for your tournament guy. Now what you saw me make earlier is what we have in stock here at the store. That's what we sell to our customer base and to our other stores that we are so blessed to make for fisherman's headquarters down in Dayton, Ohio, and
I know
Grand
Chris-
Lake Bait and Tackle.
Chris is real super proud of your baits. They're by the cash register. They're right up front when people come in.
Yeah, and it's almost every week I get another text. I need, I'm out of ants. I need cards. I need jig heads. So he keeps me very busy.
Yeah, yeah.
And that's a blessing. And the Lord told me in my spirit one day when I first started this whole thing, that He said, if you make it, it's going to sell. I never have enough product made ever in my life. Ever.
That's a great problem, but it's also a stressful problem.
I taught 3 tires, and I had all 3 of them working for me this past year. Of course, with the pandemic, things were a little strange.
Yes.
The governor told everybody to go fish, and everybody did.
Everybody did.
So,
I saw that on the lake. I'd be out on a Wednesday morning, and it looked like a Saturday. And I'm like, where are all these people? Don't they work? And then I had to remind myself, it's a pandemic. Everybody's going fishing. One of the things that I've always said in any area that I'm talking about crappie fishing, if it's in a seminar, and I'm talking about Big Mike's jigs, I'm saying if you want the best quality, go see Big Mike's jigs. And see, the store's even closed and they're still calling because they're wanting jigs. And one of the things that you do is you take that jig, and I'm going to tell you something. I can beat a jig to pieces. We'll just cut that part out. How's that?
Yeah.
I can take that jig and I can put it through its paces. I can bang it off of a dock. I can bang it off of any kind of structure, wood, and the bait still holds together. And I had one day we cleaned. This is back. I had a couple guys in the boat. We cleaned 160 crappies, and none of us in the boat changed jigs that day. None. We retied. You want to make sure you retie. But none of us had to replace that jig that we were catching all those fish on. And that didn't count the short fish we were catching them on. Mike, what does it mean to you to have Debbie here with you at the store and you guys be able to work together?
It's, some guys say, how do you go to work with your wife every day? To me, I wouldn't even want to fish with anybody else than my wife. She's my soulmate.
It's really cool. And guys, I kind of knew this would get to Mike. It's really cool to sit here. I get to sit in the back room. I get to sit in the creativity lounge, and I get to see Mike and Debbie work like just perfect cohesiveness.
She's a machine.
Yeah, she truly is. And if I want to know the price of something, I don't ask Mike. If I want to know something about the product, I don't ask Mike. I ask Debbie. And Debbie's running the show. Mike has his integral part, but I'm going to tell you, Debbie knows her stuff here. And that's what I said earlier, is that she knows what she's talking about. So you come into Spillway Bait and Tackle and you see Debbie at the front counter, she will answer all of your questions and she will take care of you.
The front of the store is hers.
Yeah.
She knows where everything is because she put it there.
Right.
She knows the price of it because she priced everything. And she knows how much we got because she ordered everything.
Yeah.
Now, we talk about our orders, how much to get and stuff like that, but she is so on top of stock out front. I don't have to worry if a guy comes in and wants to know about a 10-foot ACC crappie stick with a super grip. My wife knows where to get it. She knows how to talk about it. She knows the advantages of the super grip. She knows the strength of the rod. She knows how fast it is. She can tell you if that's a good rod for you to fish all day from the bank. She might lead you in a different direction. But she knows what our products are because we order them together and we talk about them, every one of them out there.
Yeah. That's the support that I get blessed with every day. It's just not Mike making the jigs for me. I get support from Debbie. If there's anything that I need, anything at all, she caters to me. She takes care of me. I really.
If we order for you, it's sitting there waiting for you with your name on it.
Yes.
Right now, your new shirt's in that box with your name on it, Matt.
It is. It's all tagged and organized because of Debbie.
And it folded.
And that'd be probably the last time it's folded that good. Because I struggle in that department. Mike, to wrap this up, what does it mean for you to be here at Lake Loramie? What do your customers mean to you?
Well, for years, living in Hamilton, we made jigs and we went to all the bait stores from St. Mary's to Indian Lake down to here, and I would make this trip all the time and deliver the jigs to the stores that were on order. And that's how you and I met, because we were going to Bubba's up in Grand Lake, St. Mary's, on the north side of the lake. And I was getting complaints that Bubba said I need more cards because Matt Tuttle came in and bought half the cards you just brought up. So I need, before I'd even leave the lake, I'd fish for a little bit. I'd stop back in, maybe get something to drink, and I need at least twice of what you brought me last time. So, but anyhow, most of these guys, when we took over the bait store, I knew most of these guys for years anyway. And it was such a smooth transaction. Yeah, we had a lot of learning curve to do about live bait. I would not suggest it, folks. Would not suggest it. I would not suggest a minnow to nobody. But that's worse than taking care of your kids. But it's a blessing. It's brought us up here. I feel the Lord brought us up here.
Amen.
Because we've come across a lot of people that would come in for refuge, for a prayer, for a hug, for a handshake that we never knew, and we knew that the Lord brought them in here, and we're not ashamed to say that we're Christ's children, and that's the first and foremost is Christ in our life, and then after that, it's all the Lord's anyway. So
That's right. Mike, it's a blessing. I love you, and thank you for everything that you do for me and my team, and you and Debbie are amazing gifts from God. And guys, make sure you stop at Spillway Bait and Tackle in Fort Loramie Lake, get everything that you need, and see these awesome people. Thanks, guys. Have a great day.
now let's go win one.
That's right. Thanks, brother.
We'd shoot a little video, show you how we make a Big Mike's jig here. So I'm going to start off with wrapping our thread down our hook shank, but I want you to see how we do something a little different than everybody else does. Most guys just start wrapping down the shank, but here at Spillway we take a couple wraps around and we go around the front of the head 2 times, and what that does is it helps reinforce all that thread from twisting or starting to pull down the end of the jig. As you saw, I went up and down the jig 2 times with my thread base. So there's plenty of platform for this rubber to adhere to. Okay, I have just regular silicone rubber here. This is 7 pieces. I use anywhere from 6 to 7, sometimes bigger baits up to 10 pieces. 10 pieces quite often. And this is just as easy as laying on and tying it on. Okay, you don't bear down real hard when you first start. You want to get a nice lay of your rubber. I go down to about even with the hook point. And I come back up. When I come back up, about my 3rd turn, I start bearing down a little bit until I come back up to the head. Just fitting all that rubber. And that rubber is actually building a little bulk onto your jig, so it doesn't look like a real skinny jig. And from just knowing how long I like to cut my tails, that's a no-brainer to me. I just do it. It's in the center of this right here. By the way, this is called a peak vise. Believe me, it's worth every penny, because I can turn this over and make sure I got coverage on that side. Very much worth the money. Okay, now this here is called pearl braid. All you tires have seen this before. It's very popular. It's used for many things. And I like to wrap the whole length of the shank with this pearl braid. You don't have to bear down too hard on it. Come back up to the head, let your bobbin rest. And when I bring this thread or this pearl braid around, I like to hold the rubber and my tail together and get that so it all holds together. Now if you want that tail to spread out, then don't do that. But I like a taper on my tail. I don't like it flared out. And just wrap it in front of each other. Kind of touch it on each side. Now I'm coming to the head. Now I go on the other side of the thread. And here's where it makes all the difference in the world. I'm pulling down on this thread. I'm taking that on this pearl braid and taking that thread, and I'm bearing on that. So I can make 3 wraps, and I take this and I twist this, and it makes a nice easy snip. Don't even see anything there. I take about 2 more wraps. Now here's my knot. I don't use a whip finisher. Most guys use whip finishers. I've never been taught to use one. That thing looks like some kind of dental piece to me. I have no idea how to use it. But I just loop 2 times through, follow my thread up, cinch it. Now because I've cut that knot off before, I've got used to tying 2 knots. 2 times, take it through, cinch it, pull down on it. That is what we call a Hollywood. Right, Mr. Tuttle?
Yes, sir.